Hello friends, I'm here to tell you a relaxing story which leads you to sleep with sweet dreams. Let's start our new story. The Magic Bed. The village was small, nestled between soft hills that seemed to stretch out endlessly toward the horizon. The air was always fresh, filled with the scent of pine trees and sweet earthy soil. It was a peaceful place where time itself seemed to slow down, allowing the days to pass like lazy summer afternoon. In this quiet village, there lived a young boy named Eli, who had recently come to stay with his grandparents. Eli was an adventurous soul, always eager to explore, but to find something new and exciting. His grandparents' house was just the kind of place where you could imagine all sorts of wonders. The house was old, with creaky wooden floors that echoed with every step, and walls lined with bookshelves filled with stories of places and people he could only dream of. The scent of lavender and old paper hung in the air, mixed with the cozy warmth of the hearth that burned in the kitchen. One afternoon, as the rain began to softly tap against the window panes, Eli found himself feeling restless. The sky was heavy with dark clouds, and the world outside seemed still and quiet. It was the perfect kind of day to stay inside and explore the nooks and crannies of his grandparents' home. He had already ventured through the kitchen and the living room, inspecting every corner and every drawer, but there was one place he had yet to discover: the attic. The attic door was tucked away at the top of a winding staircase, hidden behind a heavy tapestry that his grandmother had hung long ago. Fun. Eli had always been told to stay away from the attic. His grandmother would smile gently and say, "It's not for children like you, Eli. The attic holds things from the past, things that should be left undisturbed." But Eli's curiosity could never be contained for long, and today it was stronger than ever. With the rain still falling outside, Eli decided it was the perfect moment to venture up. He tugged at the tapestry, and as it swayed to the side, he saw the familiar wooden door leading up into the attic. The air in the stairwell was cool, a stark contrast to the warmth of the downstairs rooms. With a deep breath, Eli placed his hand on the door handle, and with a gentle push, the door creaked open. The attic was dimly lit, the light coming from a small window high up in the gabled roof. Dust floated lazily in the air, catching the faint light and shimmering like tiny stars. The floor was covered with old blankets, forgotten trinkets, and boxes filled with memories of a time long past. It smelled of old wood and mothballs, the scent of things that had been forgotten and left alone for years. As Eli stepped inside, the floorboards creaked beneath his feet, sending a soft shiver of sound through the quiet room. His eyes darted around, taking in all the strange and interesting things that were stored here. A chest filled with old clothes, a stack of yellowing newspapers, a set of porcelain dolls with glassy eyes staring back at him. Each item seemed to have its own story, one that was waiting to be discovered. But there, tucked in the farthest corner of the attic, something caught his attention. It was a bed. It didn't look like any bed Eli had ever seen before. The frame was made of dark, polished wood, carved with intricate designs that seemed to swirl and twirl like the wind. The headboard was shaped like a crescent moon, and at the foot of the bed there was a delicate carving of stars, their points sparkling with a strange golden light. The bed itself was covered with a rich, star-patterned quilt, its fabric soft and inviting like a cloud you could rest on. Eli couldn't resist. He slowly approached the bed, his fingers trailing over the smooth wood. There was something magical about it, something that made his heart race with excitement and wonder. He had never seen anything like it in all his life. It was as though the bed had been waiting for him, waiting for someone to find it, to discover its secret. "That bed isn't just any ordinary bed," a soft voice interrupted Eli's thoughts. He turned to find his grandmother standing in the doorway of the attic, her eyes twinkling with a mysterious gleam. She was smiling, but there was a depth to her smile, a knowing look that made Eli feel as though he were standing at the edge of a great unknown. "It once belonged to dream travelers," she continued, stepping into the attic and walking toward the bed. "It's a special bed, Eli. It has the power to take you to places you've only ever dreamed of, places that are far beyond the reach of ordinary sleep." Eli's eyes widened in disbelief. "What do you mean, Grandma? A bed that takes you to other places?" His grandmother nodded slowly, her face softening as she looked at the bed with fondness. "Yes, my dear, this bed has seen many things over the years. It's been to lands of magic and mystery, to skies filled with stars, and to forests where the trees whisper secrets. but not just anyone can travel with it. Only those who truly need to find their way in the world can journey with it. Eli looked down at the bed, his fingers still brushing the edge of the quilt. He had always been a dreamer, a wanderer in his mind, and the idea of traveling to distant places filled him with excitement. His grandmother could see the spark in his eyes, and with a soft chuckle, she added, "If you wish, you can sleep in it tonight. But remember, once you do, you may find yourself in a world far beyond what you expect. A world of dreams, of quiet beauty, and of wonders you can only imagine." Eli's heart raced with anticipation. He had never heard his grandmother speak of such things before, and the idea of a bed that could take him to magical realms seemed too good to be true. But there was something in his grandmother's voice, a warmth and assurance that made him feel that it was real, that the magic of the bed was as true as the stars in the sky. That evening, as the rain pattered against the windows and the wind whispered through the trees outside, Eli climbed into the bed. The quilt was soft and warm, wrapping around him like a gentle embrace. He lay back, his body sinking into the comfort of the bed, feeling a sense of peace wash over him. The room was quiet now, the only sound the soft creaking of the floorboards beneath him. Eli closed his eyes, and with a whisper of curiosity he murmured, "Where can you take me?" For a moment, there was no response. The room seemed still, as though the bed itself were holding its breath. And then with a soft shimmer of light, something strange began to happen. The air around him grew warm and fragrant, filled with the scent of distant flowers and soft winds. The bed began to move, ever so gently, as though it were lifting off the floor, floating just a little above the ground. Eli's eyes snapped open, but everything in the room had changed. The walls were no longer there. Instead, the room was filled with a soft golden glow, and Eli felt the bed gently rocking beneath him, as though it were floating on a breeze. The floor had disappeared, and in its place was a vast expanse of soft, glowing clouds stretching out in every direction. The bed drifted upward, rising higher and higher into the sky. Eli could feel the gentle tug of gravity, but it didn't frighten him. Instead, it felt like he was being carried by something gentle, something kind. The clouds below him were soft and inviting, and he felt as though he were floating on a dream. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew it didn't matter. He was safe. The magic of the bed was real, and it was taking him on a journey he had only ever dreamed of. Eli's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment he wondered if he was still in his room. But as his gaze drifted around, the familiar walls and furniture of his grandmother's attic had vanished, replaced by something so strange and beautiful that he could scarcely believe it was real. He was floating, but not in the way one might float in water or air. This was different. This was as though he had become part of the sky itself. The bed, soft and warm beneath him, glided through a sky of soft, luminous clouds. They stretched out in all directions, endless, vast, and glowing in shades of gold, pink, and lavender. Each cloud was thick and plush, as though they were made of the softest cotton, and the bed drifted gently upon them, as if the clouds themselves were carrying him. Eli looked down, marveling at how the bed was hovering above the misty cloud. Below him, the world stretched out into a beautiful, surreal landscape. The sky was vast, and its colors shifted in slow gradients from soft pastel hues to deeper shades of midnight blue. He could see stars twinkling faintly through the veil of clouds, even though the sun had not yet set. It was a peaceful, dreamlike realm, one that felt timeless and eternal. The air around him was crisp yet warm, and it carried the scent of wildflowers and honey, sweet, delicate fragrances that made Eli feel as if he were breathing in the very essence of peace itself. The sounds of the world, soft whispers and rustling winds, were gentle, as though the clouds were softly singing their own lullaby, a song without words, yet full of meaning. As the bed glided onward, Eli noticed the first of the creatures that called this place home, the whimsy owls. They were unlike any owls he had seen before. Their feathers shimmered in hues of silver and pearl, and their wings fluttered with a softness that made no sound. They flew alongside the bed, circling him with a graceful, almost hypnotic rhythm, their large golden eyes gleaming with wisdom. And one of the owls with feathers like moonlight flew closer to Eli, its wings brushing gently against the air. Its voice, soft and melodic, echoed in Eli's mind, though it did not speak aloud. "This is the Cloudlands, young traveler," the owl said, its voice like the rustle of leaves. "It is a place where dreams are born, a realm where the purest thoughts can take flight. Eli's heart skipped a beat. He had always wondered where dreams came from, where they went when they left him in the morning. Now he had the answer. They came from here, from the Cloudlands, and the owls were the guardians of those dreams. Where are we going? Eli asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The owl's eyes twinkled and it flapped its wings lightly, sending a gentle breeze across Eli's face. To the Dream Gardens, it said. A place where dreams grow like flowers, each one unique, each one a story waiting to be told. Eli nodded, captivated by the owl's words. He had so many questions, so many things he wanted to ask, but he knew the journey ahead would provide the answers in their own time. For now, he simply let the bed drift onward, carried by the soft breeze, and watched as the landscape changed before his eyes. As they journeyed deeper into the Cloudlands, Eli noticed the sky becoming more colorful. The clouds brighter and the light softer. In the distance, he could see what appeared to be a vast garden, its flowers blooming in the most unusual ways. Some flowers had petals that sparkled like diamonds, while others shimmered in shades of gold and silver. The petals seemed to sway gently, as if they were dancing to a tune only they could hear. The bed glided smoothly toward the garden, where the flowers grew in soft, delicate clusters, each one nestled into the soft, misty clouds. The air here was filled with a harmonious hum, as if the flowers were whispering their own secret songs to the sky. Eli watched in awe as the flowers seemed to bend and sway toward him, as though they recognized his presence and were welcoming him. One of the flowers, a large blossom with petals like velvet, began to glow softly in the pale light. As it did, a gentle voice like the soft ringing of a bell filled the air. "Welcome, Eli," it said, "to the Dream Gardens. Here, the seeds of sleep are sown and dreams take root." Eli's eyes widened in wonder. "Are these dreams?" he asked, his voice barely a murmur. The flower's petals trembled as though it was smiling, and the voice answered, "Yes, young traveler. Each dream begins as a seed, and when the time is right, it blossoms into a story, a vision, a journey for someone who needs it." Eli watched as the flower's petals unfurled further, revealing a glowing seed at its center. The seed pulsed with a soft golden light, and as it did, the air around Eli filled with a sound of gentle laughter. "Each dream is unique, Eli," the owl explained. "Some are filled with adventure, others with peace. Some bring answers while others carry mysteries. But all dreams come here, and all dreams belong here in the garden." Eli gazed around, seeing the garden stretch out in every direction, filled with countless flowers, each one blooming in its own way. Some were large, their petals wide and colorful, while others were small, delicate and barely visible. Yet each one seemed to hold a story, a purpose, a reason for being. The landscape was a patchwork of dreams, each blooming at its own pace, a testament to the beauty of the imagination. The bed drifted closer to one of the flowers, and as it did, Eli reached out and touched the soft petals of a nearby bloom. The moment his fingers brushed against it, a wave of warmth and comfort washed over him. He could feel a gentle pull, as though the flower was inviting him to rest, to sink deeper into the quiet magic of the Cloudlands. The owl perched on a nearby cloud, its eyes gleaming as it watched Eli with a knowing look. "Do not rush, Eli. Rest and let the dreams come to you when the time is right. There is no need to chase them, for they will always find their way to you. And when you wake, you will carry their peace with you wherever you go." Eli smiled softly, feeling a sense of calm settle within him. The bed rocked gently, as though it were cradling him in the clouds. The air was warm and comforting, the scent of flowers and honey filling his senses. He closed his eyes, letting the soothing hum of the gardens lull him into a peaceful stillness. As he drifted into a quiet, peaceful slumber, he knew that no matter what dreams awaited him, he was safe here in the Cloudlands, where dreams were born and peace reigned. He felt as though he had become one with the clouds, with the owls, with the very essence of sleep itself. And as he slept, the dream gardens continued to bloom around him, each petal a whisper of comfort, each flower a reminder that peace could be found in the simplest of places, if only you knew where to look. Eli awoke slowly, the soft glow of the Cloudlands still lingering around him like the faintest trace of a dream. He felt peaceful, as though he had slept for what seemed like only moments, yet the world around him had shifted. The bed continued its gentle drift through the soft sky, floating on the winds of the Cloudlands. The air was warmer now, carrying with it the sweet scent of fresh rain and dew-soaked earth, and the soft hum of the dream gardens had faded into a distant, comforting lullaby. The The bed glided downward now, moving lower into the sky, closer to a shimmering river that stretched out in the distance. The river sparkled with a soft ethereal light, its surface smooth and calm, reflecting the soft clouds and the pale light of the sky. The bed moved with ease, carried by an unseen force toward the river's edge. As they approached, Eli could see the water more clearly. It shimmered as though it were made of glass, each ripple catching the light in 1,000 different ways. The river was wide, stretching far into the horizon, with gentle currents that seemed to flow in perfect harmony with the rhythm of the cloudlands itself. The river banks were lined with delicate weeping willows, their branches drooping toward the water like graceful silver ribbons. The sound of the river was soft, a quiet, soothing melody that seemed to flow with time itself. "Where are we going up?" Eli asked, his voice still soft from the lingering warmth of sleep. The owl, who had accompanied him from the dream gardens, now flew beside the bed once more, its wings silently cutting through the air. "We are heading toward the river of reflections," the owl explained. Its voice is soft and melodic as the water itself. "This river holds the answers to questions that rest deep in your heart. It is a place of clarity and peace, where you can see the truth of things, even those that are hidden in the quiet corners of your mind." Eli watched as the bed floated closer to the river, its surface gleaming like liquid silver under the pale light. The soft rush of water against the riverbanks filled the air, and the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers surrounded him, comforting and grounding him in this strange, magical place. As they drifted closer, the bed glided toward the edge of the river, where the willow trees bent low to touch the water's surface. The branches swayed gently, their soft leaves whispering in the wind. The bed settled on the water, its base barely touching the surface, as though the river itself were welcoming it, holding it in place with its calm, steady flow. "Here," the owl said, "you may look into the waters and see yourself as you truly are." The river of reflection shows us the truth we often hide from ourselves. It is not a mirror, but a place where you can glimpse the person you are becoming and the path you may choose to walk. Eli felt a ripple of unease in his chest, but the owl's calm voice reassured him. "Do not fear what you may see, Eli. The river does not judge. It only shows what is and what may be." The bed gently rocked on the water as Eli leaned forward, peering into the clear depths of the river. At first, all he saw was his own reflection, his young face framed by the soft light of the cloudlands, his eyes wide with wonder and curiosity. But as he stared into the water, the image began to shift. The ripples on the river's surface faded, and for the first time, Eli saw a vision of himself in a way he had never expected. He saw himself standing tall, not as the young boy he was now, but as a man, older, wiser, and filled with purpose. He saw himself walking through forests, speaking with people, helping those in need. He saw himself with a heart full of kindness, his mind sharp, but his spirit gentle. The image in the water shifted again. Eli saw himself facing challenges, moments of struggle, but always standing tall, never giving up. He saw himself finding answers to questions that had once seemed impossible to solve, and offering guidance to others who needed it. The vision was not a perfect one, but it was a real one, full of growth, change, and the quiet strength that comes from within. Eli's heart swelled with emotion as he looked into the water. He had never seen himself this way before, not as a boy, but as someone who could be strong, who could face the world and make a difference. The river of reflections had shown him a glimpse of his future, and it filled him with a sense of hope and possibility. The owl perched on a branch of a nearby willow tree watched Eli with its wise golden eyes. "The river shows us not just who we are, but who we are becoming," the owl said gently. "The path is always open to you, Eli. The future is not set in stone, but it is shaped by the choices you make and the person you decide to be." Eli nodded, feeling a deep sense of calm settle over him. He had always wondered what his future held, what he was meant to do with his life. Now for the first time, he felt like he had a glimpse of the answers. He could be anyone he wanted to be. He could be strong, kind, and true to himself. The path ahead was his to choose. The bed slowly began to drift away from the river, and Eli took one last look at the water. The vision of himself as an older, wiser version of who he was faded, leaving only the calm, clear surface of the river behind. The ripples slowly settled, and the water became still once more, as though the river of reflections had given Eli what he needed and was now ready to let him continue on his journey. Thank you, Eli whispered, his heart full of gratitude. The owl fluttered its wings and soared higher into the sky, its wings catching the soft light of the cloudlands. Remember, Eli, the answers are always within you. You only need to look with an open heart. As the bed floated further away from the river of reflections, Eli felt a deep sense of peace settle within him. The gentle flow of the river had washed away any doubts or fears he had once carried. He knew that the journey ahead would not always be easy, but it would be one of growth, discovery, and dreams. And as the bed drifted onward, carried by the winds of the cloudlands, Eli closed his eyes once more, letting the calm of the river and the wisdom of the owl settle into his heart. The path was clear now, and all he had to do was trust the journey. Eli felt a gentle tug, as though the very air around him was guiding him forward. He opened his eyes to find that the bed was no longer drifting through the cloudlands or floating along the river of reflection. Instead, it was now gliding gently toward a new destination, one that seemed to call to him with a quiet, inviting hum. The sky had changed once again, its colors deepening into the softest shades of twilight. The pale golds and silvers of the day had faded, replaced by soft blues and purples, as if the sky itself were preparing for sleep. A gentle breeze ruffled the edges of the clouds, but this time, there was something different in the air. It was as though the atmosphere held a sense of anticipation, as though something beautiful and transformative was about to unfold. Ahead, in the distance, Eli could see what looked like a doorway, a glowing archway made of pure light and beacon. It shimmered softly, its edges glowing with a soft, inviting warmth. The arch stood between two towering mountains of soft mist, their peaks hidden in the clouds, as though the mountains themselves were guardians of this doorway. Where are we going now? Eli asked softly, his voice barely above a whisper. The owl, now perched on a nearby cloud, looked at him with wise golden eyes. This is the gateway of endless dreams, it said, its voice like the softest breeze, calm and comforting. It is the final place in your journey where you will find rest and peace. Here your dreams will be woven into something new, something you have not yet experienced. This is where the journey ends and a new beginning starts. Eli's heart filled with wonder. The gateway of endless dreams sounded like the most magical place yet, a place where dreams didn't just come from the cloudlands or the river of reflections, but a place where they were made whole, where they were gently wrapped up in peace and rest. As the bed floated closer to the glowing archway, Eli could see that the light was soft like the glow of the moon. It wasn't harsh or blinding, but gentle in its light, wrapped around him like a warm blanket. There was something deeply soothing about it, a kind of comfort that made his body relax, his mind quiet, and his heart still. The bed came to a gentle stop in front of the archway, and Eli felt the air around him shift, becoming even softer, more still. It was as if the entire world around him had paused, holding its breath in anticipation. A step forward, Eli, the owl urged softly, its wings fluttering gently in the quiet air. The gateway will show you the dreams that await you, but only if you are ready to let go of the old and welcome the new. This is where all dreams rest before they are sent out into the world. Eli hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of the owl's words. He had learned so much already on his journey, the lessons of the cloudlands, the peace of the river of reflections, and the wisdom of the dream gardens. But now, standing before the gateway of endless dreams, he knew he was being asked to let go in a way he hadn't yet done. Let go of all the doubts, the fears, the uncertainties, and simply trust. With a deep breath, Eli stood up from the bed and stepped forward toward the archway. As he did, he felt a wave of warmth wash over him, and the light from the gateway grew brighter, though still soft and gentle. It wasn't a harsh brightness, but one that invited him to step into it, to move toward it with the same peace he had found in the cloudlands. As Eli crossed the threshold of the archway, the world around him began to shimmer and shift. The soft twilight light of the cloudlands faded, replaced by a deeper, more tranquil glow. He found himself standing in the middle of a vast, serene meadow, its grass soft and lush beneath his feet. The sky above was a soft, dark blue, scattered with twinkling stars that shimmered like distant dreams. The air was crisp and cool, but warm enough to be comforting, like a soft blanket wrapping him in peace. Ahead of him, in the center of the meadow, was a large circular stone. It was flat and smooth, almost like a bed, and around it were flowers that glowed faintly in the darkness. The flower's soft light bathed the stone in a warm, calming glow, inviting him to come closer. Eli felt a deep sense of peace fill him as he approached the stone. It was as though everything in this place, the air, the flowers, the light, was guiding him to this one point. He sat down on the stone, the cool surface surprisingly comfortable, and as he did, the soft glow from the flowers seemed to surround him. The stars above twinkled brighter, casting their soft light down upon him, and he felt the gentle pull of sleep begin to settle in, as though the very stars themselves were lulling him into a deep, peaceful rest. You have come full circle, Eli. The owl's voice spoke softly from somewhere in the distance. Here you may rest, knowing that your dreams are safe, that your journey has led you to a place of peace. The gateway has shown you what lies ahead, and now it is time for you to sleep, to rest and to dream in the way only the cloudlands can offer. Eli nodded, his body sinking deeper into the stone, feeling every muscle in this body relax. The air was filled with the soft hum of the night, and the stars above seemed to sing a quiet lullaby, their light bathing him in a peaceful glow. His thoughts slowed, his heart beat steadily, and the gentle pull of sleep grew stronger. As he closed his eyes, he felt the soft embrace of the dreams waiting for him. They were not just dreams of adventure or faraway lands or grand journeys, but dreams of peace, of understanding, of rest. The gateway of endless dreams had given him the gift of quiet, of stillness, and of transformation. It had shown him the beauty of what it meant to let go and to simply be. In that moment, Eli knew that his journey was not just about the places he had seen, but about the peace he had found within himself. The cloudlands, the river of reflections, the dream gardens, all of them had led him to this moment, this place of complete tranquility. And as he drifted deeper into sleep, he felt the comforting presence of the cloudlands around him, wrapping him in warmth and safety, guiding him toward the peaceful dreams that awaited him in the quiet night. Eli closed his eyes fully now, a peaceful smile on his face, and allowed the gateway of endless dreams to carry him into a deep, restful slumber. The world around him faded into the soft glow of the stars, and for the first time, Eli knew that he was truly home, here in the land of dreams, where all was calm, all was peaceful, and all was well.